Alright, we have one of the most popular matchups in fictional history. One of the most heatedly debated throwdowns between two of the most popular animangas in the entire world. What happens when you place the man with the power of a god against the god with the power above all men? Who wins, Goku or Saitama? Saitama is extremely powerful. From the beginning of his series, he's described as an endgame protagonist placed at the start of the story, proving that no mere monster can defeat him, with most of his fights becoming stale, with the same result within each and every encounter: a single punch. Not until he meets Lord Boros does this cycle conclude, with regard to him almost being a real fight. And Boros is actually able to take more than one punch from Saitama. Boros unleashes his full power, creating an attack called the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, which in the manga and anime is regarded as having strength to destroy the entire Earth's surface, or the entire planet itself, with Boros later claiming that after Saitama one-shots his final attack, he's still holding back. It's not until the recent chapters of One Punch Man that we actually get to see what Saitama is actually capable of. In chapter 167, we see an engagement between Saitama and Cosmic Fear Garo. In this fight, Garo completely obliterates the S-Class heroes, with only Blast alone showing a good fight, while Saitama bathes in the realization of the death of his best friend. In this, Saitama holds no bars back and unleashes his true strength. In copying a serious punch from Saitama, the serious punch squared, they release enough energy to shoot them both back to the moon of Jupiter and create a blast so devastating it destroyed this entire giant hole of stars in space. We can see that the sizes and distances of the stars vary, with arguments of ultra-faint dwarf galaxies being present, which is feasible but more unlikely than not, as we see the ones in the forefront presenting the fact that we are actually seeing a large range of stars with similar distances around the edge. Taking one of the larger stars, you can use the inverse square law, which states that any scientific law stating to be a specified physical quantity is inversely proportional to the square of the distance around the source of that physical quantity, using Newtonian gravitational constant. And a star that has over 1,000 solar radii, shout out to DC. Even having this feat for both Saitama and Garo punching, this would still be calced all the way up to multi-galaxy level. Saitama claims that he's finally now has an opponent that can take his full power and stay up, with people arguing at this point that Saitama still is holding back, which I fully disagree with. They argue that Saitama isn't using his full power because he isn't smiling and having fun like he did in his dream, which they say would be an accurate representation of how he would feel in the moment that he actually gets his challenge. However, they fail to take into account that this is a completely different scenario. In his dream, he was getting jumped out of his sleep with strong opponents, but in this event, his best friend was killed and the entire universe is being threatened. His reaction in each event should logically be different, with Saitama even remarking that he's finally gotten what he wanted, but isn't the least bit excited. This is reasonable given the logical situation that he's in. With his new mentality, Saitama starts to beat up Garo badly, using moves that we've never seen before. Multiple serious punches, a serious table flip, and a serious sneeze that can destroy Jupiter all the way up into its core. Only when Garo uses his Saitama mode can he actually land a hit. However, it's still a good note that he was still durable enough to take these serious hits from Saitama without this mode. Garo then comments that his strength is limitless, which people are losing their minds over, saying that Saitama can now solo fiction if he wanted to and is limitlessly powerful. This is really wrong and full of hyperbole. 1. Garo shouldn't even be a reliable source to make such a claim, with Garo showing multiple times that he's confused about what Saitama even is and how he's this strong. But people like to say that, oh, he has knowledge of the entire universe and he knows everything. But in his fight with Saitama, he couldn't even tell up from down. But alright. Anyway, this limitless strength is actually debunked by his power literally shown on a graph, which implies a finite limit. And all this means is that Saitama is continuously getting more powerful as the fight goes on, surpassing the previous multi-galaxy level feat on his own and many times more. At the conclusion of their altercation, Saitama goes back in time to punch Garo before the fight even began, a reversal of causality. People have been trying to argue that Saitama now has immeasurable speed, claiming that his fist went back in time, meaning his movement is beyond linear time, granting him speed above the speed formula itself. However, this is just not the case. Garo explains that he wants Saitama to copy his technique and ultimately improve upon it, to pass on the most powerful ultimate technique of his fist as Garo envisioned it, which he's not been able to do despite gaining the power of God. later saying that if anyone can master the power of God without taking his hand, it's you. The same God who has dominion over the power of cosmic time and space. Garo has a vision for what he wanted his final technique to look like, and through a stronger, more capable vessel in Saitama, it can be brought to the level that he wanted it to be at. So no, this would not grant Saitama immeasurable speed or movement beyond linear time via his raw movement. This would just be Saitama copying an ability that allows him to travel through time as Garo envisioned it. Also, the fact that we see Saitama's strength growing at a finite rate, it would literally be impossible for someone growing at this rate to inaccessibly transcend his previous speed. With Saitama even remarking that Garo's martial arts is amazing, referring to the technique that Garo always wanted to do, to end a fight in 0 punches. The particles within Garo start to move in opposite directions and imitate each other's movements, which Saitama copies. Not only does Saitama have to activate this ability by using hand signs and focusing, but also the activation itself takes place within a time frame, which means that this is not immeasurable speed. But this isn't to discredit Saitama's actual speed. He's still massively faster than light, up to 300 times the speed of light, and is still extremely formidable with hacks that allow him to adapt to any situation. Previously in his fight with Boros, he was unable to breathe in space. However, in this fight with Garo, since he needed it, his body just learned how to breathe in space as a normal human. Insane adaptability, speed 300 times faster than light, and strength into multi-galaxy level all the way up to universal, if you take this statement of Garo being able to destroy the universe as fact. Now, where does this stack him up to against Goku? Goku, as early as the Frieza saga, has been able to obliterate opponents capable of destroying planets with enough energy to destroy dwarf stars, 3 planets with a single wave of a hand or 2 fingers. Even the explosion of Namek can be seen from a galactic range, which you can argue makes Frieza multi-solar system level, which makes his universal statement a little bit more plausible. In the Cell saga, Goku was able to fight Cell, who on multiple occasions was stated to have infinite and bottomless energy, and was even regarded to have power to destroy the entire universe. With Goku surpassing Cell in later arcs, the same Cell who could destroy an entire solar system using a unidirectional blast, meaning that he was going to destroy Earth with enough energy to destroy an entire solar system, which can be calced to dwarf galaxy level. Even opponents like Kid Buu fall short of Goku. The same Kid Buu who has been quoted by Goku would destroy the universe in a poof, with anime Kid Buu being stated to be able to destroy the Grand Kai world, a universal-sized planet. What makes this so impressive is that it's the same size as the universe, but instead of being occupied with 99.99999% empty space, this is full of mass. After overcoming the gravitational binding energy of this universal-sized planet, the energy required to destroy this would be equivalent to destroying the observable universe an octillion times over, which is the number 1 followed by 48 zeros. With Goku surpassing all of this in his fight with Beerus, instead of clashing and destroying a possible million to billions of stars, Goku is going to destroy an entire macrocosm of Universe 7, with the macrocosm holding multiple space-times within it, including the afterlife, with Heaven, a universal-sized planet, being swallowed up in the vastness of the afterlife. The afterlife is so big, it makes universes too small to see, with the macrocosm itself being even larger than that. All of this, all of the rooms, realms, dimensions, can be wiped out to nothingness by Goku's punches in Super Saiyan God, which he learns to absorb into his base form. He then can transform back into a Super Saiyan God on top of this multiversal base form, and his punches can be blocked by a suppressed Jiren with 1 finger. This same Jiren at full power gets bullied by Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku casually. This is the same Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku that was able to shake infinity just by existing, and even weaker opponents like Toppo have been able to change the entire world of Void itself. Goku in Battle of Gods showed even more superiority than Vegito, the same Vegito that can fight Buhan, who is threatening to destroy the universe by collapsing dimensions on top of it. And Buhan was going to do all of this just by screaming. So when it comes to strength, I think it's pretty clear who takes this one right now, right? Goku as it stands has just shown way more impressive things in their respective series. But people still like to make the argument that Saitama can just evolve and catch up to Goku. However, I think people underestimate just how much stronger Goku can actually get. Just from base form to Super Saiyan 3, he will get over 400 times stronger. The Super Saiyan God multiplier is 10 million on top of his base, and Blue is 50 times that, making it 500 million. The multiplier for these forms and a grander scale on Dragon Ball Super Goku I explain in this video if you're interested. He then can stack Kaioken times 10 and 20 to get over 10 billion times stronger, and with Omen Ultra Instinct 1, 2, and 3, he's far beyond this, with Mastered Ultra Instinct being comparable to Fusion itself. And this is completely ignoring how much stronger Goku actually got through the Tournament of Power. Goku literally got thousands of times stronger over the course of 48 minutes. Other than using, headcanon, we don't even know what the real increases of Saitama's strength even is, other than a few times as we see on this graph. However, this just goes to show that people like Gohan, Frieza, Broly, and even Goku have way better increases in strength over a course of a fight. So with this, I think we can move on to Goku's speed. Arguments for a massively faster than light Goku could start as soon as the Namek Saga, with King Kai being able to track Goku's space pod, but he's unable to track the movements of Super Saiyan Goku and full power Frieza. Seeing as though Goku's space pod was traveling halfway across the universe in 5 days, this would put his space pod at over 1 trillion times faster than light, which King Kai could see, but Goku he could not. Even in the Buu Saga, Pikkon and Goku were able to traverse through Hell, which has been calced at 4.38 quadrillions of times faster than light, which he was able to do in base form casually. Even in the beginning of Super, we see the light from Beerus and Goku's attacks seen outside the macrocosm itself, with Goku obviously scaling to this. We see that with all the information I provided, with all the strength boosts, with all the speed calcs, with all the debunks, with all the rebunks, everything, we see that at this point, Saitama won't even make it out of Dragon Ball Z alive, yet alone to fight Dragon Ball Super Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. But who knows, maybe in the future when Saitama fights God, he'll actually show us what he's actually capable of, just like destroying multiverses or some shit. But until then, we wait. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. I know me making videos on here have been long awaited, and I'm glad to be back. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, wherever the hell you are, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.